I'm Billy S, welcome back to the channel. A few days ago, From Software revealed their overview trailer for Elden Ring Nightreign, going over the full gameplay loop that players are expected to partake in when they boot up the game. We got clarification on how everything works, and we learned some new details that definitely left me feeling intrigued. So, for today's video, let's look at 7 reasons to be excited for Elden Ring Nightreign. I'll be going chronologically through the overview trailer, please enjoy. First up, we get a brief bit of information about Limveld, the location that the game takes place in. It was once a country of great power that is now nearing its end, being gradually eroded by the night that has saturated the land. We already knew that our goal as Nightfarers was to defeat the Nightlords, but I'm hopeful that in the main game, we'll actually get more information as to who these Nightlords are. Why is the night destroying Limveld and encompassing the land? Did something happen here to cause this effect to begin with? The part of Limveld that we explore is likely just a small pocket of the larger land that has been fully devoured by the night, and while it's not important to the gameplay of Nightreign, it's still something I want to know more about. I'm not expecting George R.R. Martin level world building here, but there has to be a reason why all of the Nightfarers are on this journey to halt the Scourge of Night. I'm curious if all of them come from Limveld or if they're from somewhere else entirely, which would be more in line with the usual Souls formula for NPCs and characters. A country nearing its end is nothing new for us either. Lordran, Drangleic, Lothric, we've played through this style of setting before, and I hope that despite all of the reused assets from Elden Ring, there are a few nice things to play with in Limveld when the game launches. It's this amalgamation, and I'd love to see a more in-lore reason for why creatures like the Duke's Dear Freya, the Centipede Demon, and the Nameless King are returning. Next up, the trailer covers the full gameplay spectrum from when you enter the game arena. You choose your given Nightfarer, you ride out into Limveld at level 1 on the first day, and you're tasked with exploring this ever-changing landscape. Something I really liked about the voiceover for this segment is that they mention that you need to play to your character's strengths, whether that be exploring together or daring to go off the beaten path solo. When I played the network test, we had a lot more success staying together in groups, but that likely comes from all of us still trying to learn the game. I imagine as players become more experienced and more knowledgeable about their chosen classes, they'll be able to wander off on their own and succeed at taking down tough foes or finding the right camps and fortresses to get items for their build. Perhaps the single-player mode would actually be quite useful for this. It's going to be really fascinating seeing this change happen live as we play, as people realize that you don't need to be in groups the whole time, but I'm really excited to see it. Then we get some new information about world events. We experience the first of these, getting ambushed on day 2 by Margit the Fell in the network test, and I'm still hopeful that other bosses can also ambush the player besides our favourite on-again, off-again king. The Pursuer is still at the top of my list for this, though he would need a bit of a moveset rework to actually be threatening in Nightreign. There are meteor strikes that can occur, which leave massive craters in the map that look like they contain boss fights all their own. I'm guessing it's going to be a falling star beast, as that's how they appear in the main game, but I could also see Onyx Lords coming from these spaces as well. Then they showed more drastic changes, like a giant volcanic crater area that looks vast and filled with enemies and loot, followed by a large forest of rot that looks incredibly dangerous to traverse. It's not clear whether these locations will be part of the map generation when you first spawn in, or if they can occur during the middle of a match, but I'm glad we're getting variations of the play area, as if we were stuck with the Limgrave palette the whole game, I think it would start to get a bit repetitive. We also see some magic firing down near a camp on the western side of the map, and a shot of multiple large blue orbs that tower over the countryside. These likely contain monsters for you to kill, similar to the orbs that spawned an ant horde in the network test. And lastly, we even have a shot of a frenzied flame tower. This is a no-brainer, a great environmental obstacle. During the overview trailer, we got a little bit more information about some of the bosses we'll be facing as we explore Limveld. The trailer starts with a valiant gargoyle encounter, and a few seconds later, we also see a dragonkin soldier of Noxtella. Later on, towards the very end of the video, we even see Estelle. I fully expect to see every boss type from the Elden Ring game make an appearance here somehow, as most of that game's field bosses would work wonders in Nightreign. The big moment I was excited for, though, was the reveal of actual Duke Freya gameplay. She's one of the bosses who can appear at the end of a day and will spawn with a host of smaller spiders to fight the player and their team. I got such a giddy rush of nostalgia seeing her use the laser attack from Dark Souls 2 in this engine. It feels really surreal, and I'm excited to see what else they've done for Freya to make her more threatening. With the centipede demon, his limbs you cut off became monsters themselves, so with Freya, I could see her having more projectile attacks, or perhaps even adopting some of the moveset of the Nightmare Apostle spiders in Bloodborne. We also get more footage of the Draconic Tree Sentinel fight, which remains the most brutal of the bosses I faced during the network test. They still seem as tough here as they did there, and I couldn't help but laugh that they used this boss specifically to showcase how to revive your teammates in boss battles. You have a lovely sense of humor from Software. The part of the video we were all looking forward to, they did a deep dive on the currently existing classes. I don't need to go over the 4 from the network test as we already have that information on them, but we got more info on the Eye and Raider classes while getting the name of the Executor Sekiro style class from a menu screen. But it is worth noting we have also seen the 8th Nightfarer, this girl holding an instrument. I haven't followed the Nightreign news that closely, but I know she's called the Revenant and that she specializes in Spirit Ash warfare, and that she likes to parry that subscribe button to stay up to date on all my future videos. Eye is an interesting class. I've always found archery to be incredibly slow in Soulsborne. I've never dabbled in it beyond having a bow to take out a few faraway enemies in certain situations. But Eye makes it look so much fun. He has a mark ability that allows you to mark an opponent, disrupting their poise and allowing for openings to get critical attacks, while his ultimate art is a supersonic arrow that blasts through opponents with the arrow itself, then followed by a sonic burst for extra damage. We also see a Tibia Mariner in this segment, so of course they're back. Yay! I hope they go all out and have the Mariner summoning the most random enemies each round. I want to see some craziness. On the other side of the coin though, we have the Raider, a seafarer with a big weapon, and he definitely wants to hit you with it. He has incredibly high poise, making him perfect for anybody that just wants to unga that bunga, and seems like a really solid pick for any team composition. His Retaliate art actually reminds me a lot of Monster Hunter. I'm a Hunting Horn main. I like using the special moves where I set up for an attack and have to ensure the opponent is placed in a way where my attack will hit when I release. Retaliate feels like a very strong ability depending on the boss type, but seems better suited for stationary enemies that aren't going to fly or run away immediately. I really hope the damage is worth being an art, because having a Smash Bros style counter move is potentially a game changer if it does good damage. Then he has his ultimate Totem Stella, which summons a massive gravestone that can act as a wall, a shield, an easy plunging attack opportunity, and it has an aura that buffs your allies' strength. Basically, dropping this thing down in the middle of battle is always a good idea, because it buffs your team and gives you a chance to get the high ground, Anakin. When the Raider trailer was revealed a few weeks ago, I can't say I was that excited, but now knowing the ultimate can buff teammates and has a lot more utility made me way more interested in this character for sure. We already know everything about the Roundtable Hold from the network test, and it also acts as the most blatant tie to Elden Ring that we have. A part of me wishes it had a slightly different name, because it's weird that there's a Roundtable Hold in Leyndell, and also a Roundtable Hold in Limveld. I doubt this will get explained, but hey ho. At the Round Table, we can choose our Nightfarer, we can train in the courtyard, and we can slot in relics obtained from our excursions. But the newest bit of info is the reveal of the Jar Merchant. We knew we would have a merchant of some kind, as we gained merc during the network tests that couldn't be spent, but I really like the reveal that our merchant is a jar, and some people have pointed out that he's wearing medals that belong to Dom Hall of Xena from Dark Souls 1. What a callback. I think they're one of my favourite new races from Elden Ring, the jars, and seeing more of them like this is always a pleasant surprise. But the jar merchant isn't the only thing we can spend merc on. The fitting mirror in what I believe is Fear's room is where you can go to change your character's appearance. You can purchase cool cosmetics to make your Nightfarer feel unique, and then they revealed we were getting legacy skins. The Faram armor from Dark Souls 2 with a tiny sting of Majula's music when they showed it off, priceless. I think that's for the Wilder. The Leonhard set from Dark Souls 3 is for the Iron Eye, and of course, the Guardian gets the Solaire armor set from Dark Souls 1. Where do you think his beat goes when he's wearing the bucket? I'm excited because this implies every character will have at least one legacy skin, if not more, and I will go fucking feral if there is an Artorias armor set, you have been warned. I hope at the very least though that the Recluse's legacy skin is Zully the Witch, because I think Zully the YouTuber would go insane. Something I'm very intrigued by is the last part touched upon in the Roundtable Hold segment, which was the objective system. Effectively, each Nightfarer has their own backstory that they have seemingly forgotten. Their memories have been tampered with, and it's up to us to help them regain those fragments. To do this, we have to talk to people in the Roundtable Hold, which will eventually trigger objectives that we can complete during our excursions into Limveld. If you're able to complete an objective, my assumption is that you will regain a bit more backstory for your character, fleshing out their personalities and their purpose. I'm very curious about the Guardian and his broken wing, for example, but I'm also really intrigued by the general air of the Duchess. Something tells me she's not as good a person as some of the other Nightfarers, being a thief and all that, and I want to see a character whose backstory is murky and at odds with the other classes. There's also the potential promise of character interactions, which feed me more, please. I really want each Nightfarer to have some distinguishing personality traits so they don't all feel like the same person. And it would be interesting to see if they have differing relationships with other members of the Hold based on their memories. Perhaps this is asking for a bit too much though, but hey, when the promise of fleshing out backstories in what is going to be a relatively live service game exists, I'm gonna want the world. Lastly, we get a look at all the currently revealed Nightlords. We already know Gladius, the three-headed hound of hell who was the final boss of the network test, but the three others shown off were all briefly teased in previous trailers, and now we have confirmation of their Nightlord status. We got an extended look at the armored centaur creature, who I imagine has some tough movesets under the hood, as well as a giant dragon-like creature with a split open mouth. This thing looks like a real challenge and a big step up from Gladius, but there is one thing here that I'm curious about. It's considered a Nightlord, yet in the reveal trailer 4 months ago, we see this exact creature in the open world in this shot where Iron Eye interrupts his grab attack. There are two possible explanations for this. One, this was just shot for the reveal trailer and the creature actually is only a Nightlord and nothing else. Or two, when you clear a Nightlord and unlock the next Nightlord in the chain, the prior Nightlords have the chance to show up as regular or end-of-day bosses. It could simply be the case that as you unlock more late-game Nightlords to hunt, the game gets harder, meaning you never have a reason to go back to those easier early Nightlord hunts. So the developers thought, hey, let's throw those early bosses into the later hunts so that players can still continue to experience them. I don't know, but I do find it interesting, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic down below. What do you think this dragon really is? Lastly, what the fuck is this Godai creature? It's the only one of these Nightlords to not have any proper gameplay of its battles shown, which makes me wonder if perhaps it's the most powerful of the 4 that we've seen. I think it's the best visual design, and I really want to know more about this guy. So I guess I'll have to buy the full game to find out. And that's the overview trailer. We got a bit of new information that has definitely excited me. I already know I want to play and potentially stream Nightreign on Twitch when it comes out, so if anybody is interested in watching me, a casual Souls player, fight through this game, be sure to let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. I want to give a shout out to all my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. You guys are amazing. It's $4.99. You get you a shout out in the description at the end of videos as well. And there is a special Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 exclusive Let's Play for my members, and there will be other Let's Plays coming in the future. So, I'll see you guys next time. Adios.